Alright, this is a video for chapter 9 on transformations, and this transformation is going to be a dilation. Now, dilation is when a figure shrinks or grows. And the technical words for those, shrink and grow, are good words, but we like to call them reductions if they get smaller, and enlargements if they get larger, if they grow. Okay, so those are the words we're going to use. Reduction, enlargements. Now, to figure out whether a figure is growing or shrinking, we use a scale factor, and that's how big or how small our figure is going to become. B here is going to be our scale factor. Okay, scale factor again tells how big or how small our figure will grow. Okay, B is our scale factor for what we're going to talk about here. If our scale factor is a number between 0 and 1, that's going to be a reduction. If our scale factor is equal to 1, it's going to be the same size. Nothing is going to change. That's what we call a congruence dilation, because it's the exact same figure. If our scale factor is bigger than 1, then we get an enlargement. Okay? Now, since our figures are growing and shrinking, they're not going to have the same size like the rest of our transformations we've talked about so far. Reflections, translations, and rotations. When we talk about those transformations, the size stays the same. What happens is they're moving around. They may have a different orientation. Their location changes. With the dilation, our size is changing. We'll have the same figure, but the size is going to change. And they're in a proportion. That's where we get the scale factor from. Everything's going to grow the same amount, or everything's going to shrink the same amount. We're going to focus on dilations on a coordinate plane. And to show that, we take all of the points in our figure. We may have a triangle with 3 points, or a rectangle with 4, a pentagon with 5. It doesn't matter. But we take the points, and R is our scale factor here. We multiply the scale factor to both coordinates. Has to go to both. If we only multiply it to 1, we don't get a dilation. It's either going to shrink, or it's either going to grow lengthwise, or it's going to grow widthwise, up and down. Okay, it'll grow left and right or up and down. It won't grow both directions the same way. So that's important. Okay, so on a coordinate plane, we multiply the scale factor to both coordinates, x and y, in all of the points we have. Now, I am going to show you how to do it on a two-dimensional shape where we don't have a coordinate plane. You do have to have a point, and you have to have a figure. You also need to have a ruler. Okay, I'm going to walk you through this. We're not really going to use a ruler for this, but if somebody asks you to enlarge a figure, this is how you would do it. You have your point, you have your figure. We also have our scale factor over here, r equals 2. So we're going to make this an enlargement because our scale factor is greater than 1. That means it's going to be twice as large. Now what you do is you take your ruler and you measure from your point to one of the vertices of your figure, and you get a measurement. Let's say that's 7 inches. Now you leave your ruler where it is, and you extend that out 7 more, so that you get a total of 14. 7 times 2 equals 14. That's how far out we are, and we put a point. We do the same thing to the next point. Let's say that this is 5 inches. If we double that, we go out 5 more, we put a point. 5 times 2 equals 10. So now we're out 10 inches. We would do that for our final point also, and it would be somewhere out over here. And then when we get our figure, I realize I wrote over my numbers, but you get the idea. We get a figure that's larger, okay? That's very basic, but that's how you would do it if somebody asked you to enlarge a figure, not on a coordinate plane, just gave you a point and said enlarge this, okay? So that's what happens. These are your notes for dilations. Again, dilation means to shrink or to grow, an enlargement or a reduction. If it's a reduction, your scale factor is between 0 and 1. If it's an enlargement, your scale factor is greater than 1. And if your scale factor is equal to 1, it's called a congruence dilation. On a coordinate plane, which is what we're going to learn, you multiply that scale factor to both the x and the y coordinate. Okay? So those are your notes on dilations. If you have questions, bring them to class next time. Otherwise, you may learn your question in class when you get there because we're going to take this a step farther.